Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 109 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on April 19th, 2022. How you wonderful folks doing on this wonderful day? It's raining outside here. It's still a wonderful day, though. I hope you had a great Easter holiday. I did. Yeah, I did. I took some time off from PEW Science and the podcast last week due to way too much stuff going on. Really, yeah, it was not physically possible to bring you publications last week. And although I probably could have bent space-time enough to make it happen, I chose instead to focus on other things. Yeah, and then I wanted to come back to you fresh this week with a new episode and even some fresh new data. Yeah, so, frankly, you guys did get a publication this past Sunday before Easter, though, right? But that was only for members. But you did get something, yeah. So I'll mention that on today's episode, I think. We'll talk about that a little bit. And I was thinking about it, and I'm not sure when the last week was that I missed a podcast, but it has got to be way last year or something. I was looking through, and it definitely wasn't since November of last year. I was going through the months. I was like, no, I've been doing it every week. It's crazy. Like, pretty sure we did an episode every week, even through Christmas. It was wild, right? And, I recorded these the day before every time. Like, I'm not doing these ahead of time. You see a lot of these podcasts, they'll be doing them, they'll record a bunch of episodes and then they'll slowly release them. No, man, this is all up-to-date stuff. I'm literally recording it the day before it releases. That way you get the freshest information. Yeah. Well, I say that now. Watch, I'll have to change that. But for now, it's been working mostly. Yeah. But if you remember when the last off week was, let me know. I would be interested to see that. It'd be a good data point for me. It is very encouraging to me that a significant amount of folks are tuning into the podcast really to learn about silencers, and maybe to stay a while to hear about new R&D updates and weapon talk. It's cool to do the podcast for you. I do enjoy it. It's a little bit of a creative outlet. For me, I do enjoy that. So that's cool. That's kind of some of the stuff that I get out of it besides helping folks. So major thanks to the sponsors as well for helping me out. In addition to the listeners, the sponsors that help the podcast, it really goes a long way. For example, Silencer Shop. That's right. The J Situation Podcast is proudly sponsored by Silencer Shop. You can use their kiosk. You do your fingerprints, your photos electronically. You cut down on errors. You simplify your silencer purchasing process. You do. You get a money-back guarantee. It's great. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors. It's just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. Good folks there. Good forward-thinking folks at Silencer Shop. Yeah. I just actually, and I literally just bought a silencer for my own use from them. I bought a Surefire SOCOM 556 RC2. I had one in the test library in the repository, as it were. And I didn't want to, I find myself kind of grabbing that silencer more. And I was like, you know what? I should not use the one in the repository. I should get my own that I can just beat up and fill with crap if I need to or whatever. And so, yeah, I went and bought one, and I bought it from them. Excuse me. Yeah, I bought it from Silencer Shop. They got, I kind of put my name down on their list, and when it came, I had them hold one for me. When it came in, I purchased it. Yeah. So I got that, and I don't have to wait as long as you guys get a form. I did it on Form 3, but even so, now people are doing e-forms. They're getting them back kind of fast, so it's not as different as it used to be. So yeah, just to let you know, I use Silencer Shop too. Yeah. And also, this podcast is brought to you by True Shot Gun Club out of Arizona. That's right. How do they support specifically? Well, it's pretty simple with them. You click the link in the show notes on all the podcast episodes there, like this one. You click the link on the show notes in your podcast provider or on the website at pewscience.com/podcast, and that link will take you to their site. And if you buy ammo when you're, using your web browser after you clicking that link, it helps the podcast and helps Pew Science. That's right. It does. And what you can also do, if you want to buy stuff from them, this is kind of something we worked out with them, which I thought was cool. If you join their AZO membership, their Frequent Buyer Club, it's like the Amazon Prime thing for ammo at True Shot. You can get free shipping the whole year, right? And so if you want to do that, if you use the code word Pew Science, you get $20 off that membership. So that's pretty good, because all the ammo you buy, you're gonna have to pay shipping unless you get that membership, and then it gets free for the whole year, which is actually, some folks have been telling me it kind of adds up. So that might be smart for you. No pressure, but it would help the podcast too. That's right. You win, they win, we all win. Okay. And lastly, and probably most importantly, the J Situation podcast is sponsored by Pew Science. That's right, pushing the silencer industry forward one test at a time. And you can visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It's the simplest and most accurate hearing safe ratings for your suppressed small arms. Okay, based on true human sound perception, specifically inner ear response of the human. You. That's right, you. Of the entire gunshot. That's right. We look at the entire gunshot at Pew Science from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone out of the silencer. We call that until the blowdown is over. That's right. It's the entire combustion event. We don't just cut it off and look at part of it. We try to give you the correct answer for every single silencer tested on all the guns. That's kind of what we do. We think it's important for consistency. That's right. And reality is probably the most important part that we try to capture. And the suppression rating is in section 5 of the silencer sound standard. That's right. It walks you through gunshot noise, sort of like Wikipedia, but it's cooler because it's about silencer sound. Okay, there's 7 parts to the standard. They're all on pewscience.com for you to read. And if you haven't seen it, that's fine. Skip directly to section 5. That's the suppression rating. It's going to let you know how silencers stack up in comparison to one another with regard to sound at the muzzle and the shooter's ear. It's going to give you a hearing-safe dose limit for the particular platforms on which the silencers are tested, okay, directly tied to hearing damage risk. That's right. If the rating is higher, it's going to be lower risk to your ear. If the rating is lower, it's going to be higher risk to your ear, probably sound more harsh. Okay, that's all there is to it. The 6th section of the standard has extremely detailed reviews, and you might say to yourself, this is highly unusual and frankly a little bit scary, Jay. Say, no problem. I understand. I got you, fam. Proceed to section 7, in which there is a sortable tool. It is a database table. You can sort it, flip it, bip it, bop it to your heart's content. Sort by silencer, by manufacturer, by weapon type, ammunition. And then you find something you like. You can drill down with the links in the table to go to the individual reviews back in section 6 so you don't get overwhelmed. It's up to you. That's right. All the reviews are linked. All the public ones, that is. Now, if you are a manufacturer and you would like to use Pew Science for private testing and consulting services, there is certainly a form on the website with which you can submit that inquiry. Any contact information or discussion as a result of that communication will be held in strict confidence, unless, of course, at the end of the effort, you would like to release the data to the public, in which case I can certainly help you do that with Pew Science. We've done several of those in the recent past, and they're published. And any review on the website that was undertaken with a portion of private funding from a manufacturer, there's a disclaimer there, and you can see the contract number and everything. It's all transparent and stuff. Most of the data actually on pewscience.com is not funded by manufacturers. It's just funded by members. Okay, and it's usually driven by member demand. That's right. You can support this podcast, Pew Science, and our testing by joining with the membership at pewscience.com. That's right. You get some more say into what gets tested, but most of all, you help the effort. This is grassroots, and I really appreciate it. Okay, every little bit helps. And you know what? If you don't want to join, that's totally fine. There's even you can do one-time donations. It's a donate feature on the review page and the podcast page at the top there. Every little bit helps. You can give a lot of it. You can give a little bit. You give nothing at all. Okay. And also, if you don't want to give anything monetarily, you can certainly spread the word about Pew Science. You can spread the word about the podcast. You can share it. You can even rate the podcast a good rating on iTunes or Spotify or however you get your podcast, and what that will do, it'll help the algorithm know that silencers and guns are awesome, and we can normalize the use of suppressed small arms. That is the goal. That's right. Normalize the use of suppressed small arms. Say it with me, folks. Okay, I have 4 topics for you today. That's right, 4 topics. Topic 1, Research Supplement 672. Taming the MK18, Part 2. That's right, Surefire versus CGS. Yeah, this one was for members. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that research supplement, members, and you found it informative. That was released last week. We'll talk about that and give a little bit of insight into that. Topic 2, listener questions. That's right. Let's dive back in. We're in the 4th solicitation. Man, I love answering these, and I think you folks enjoy it as well. So yeah, it's great to help folks by spreading knowledge. Let's do that. And then topic 3, new sound signature review coming this week. This week? Yes, friends. 5.56 by 45 millimeter. I mean, most likely. Yeah, we're due, I think. We'll talk about that and the current state of 5.56 affairs here. And then topic 4, as always, thank you to all the new PEW Science members who recently joined to support the effort. Yeah, we all owe you thanks for your contribution to the silencer sound standard and to the state of practice. The industry is in your debt. That's right. Okay, let's move into topic 1 at a time of 11 minutes and 25 seconds. Okay, my notes started here. Perfecto. All right. Yeah, man. This is great. I feel rested. I feel recharged. I feel energized. Sometimes you need that, and gosh, man, I had a really great workout last night too. Felt great. Had a good workout, and I put this little RMR mount on my SP5K PDW. I'm really not a big fan of the claw mounts on HK receivers. I just think it's crude, and frankly, I don't like them. But I found this machined aluminum mount from M8 Industries. This guy made it out of, I think it was 775 aluminum alloy, type 2 anodized. It replaces the rear sight, and it screws down into the rear sight boss there, the weldment on the HK guns. And I had got a little Trigicon RMR with a 1 MOA dot. It's a very small dot, and so because it's very close to my head on the MP5, boy howdy is it nice. And it sits right, the dot sits right there on top of the front sight post. I haven't shot it yet with the dot, but oh my goodness gracious, I am excited about that. And that's not something I really plan to talk about. But since the gun is literally sitting right beside me right now, like whenever you're messing with a new gun, you just have it everywhere with you. I do. I love that thing. I'm full German mode right now. I'm full German gun mode. I'm speaking German to him at night. It's not weird, right? Okay, back to topic 1. Research Supplement 672. Yeah, Taming the MK18. Oh man, you know what I'm going to do? So I can actually jog my memory for you. I'm going to pull up the website right now, pewscience.com. Okay, pewscience.com, sound signature reviews. Go ahead and log in as a member because I am one. And click on 672 there. Yeah, oh, that's right. Yeah, this was I took the Surefire SOCOM 556 RC2 with a 3-prong and war comp, and I took the CGS Helios QD with the direct thread, the solid end cap. And I picked those two. I picked the configurations because of the very similar at-ear sound signature, or rather, let me rephrase that. The very similar hearing damage risk at the shooter's ear for the 3-prong RC2 and the direct thread Helios QD. I mean, they're like basically the same hearing damage risk on the MK18 to you at the shooter's ear. So I was like, it would be really cool if not only, I took a deeper dive into all of this, but to show it to everybody. And I was like, this is something that really PEW Science members deserve, frankly, for your support. And I think it was useful because it's pretty in-depth, and I think it shows some stuff that a lot of people were wondering. I think it's useful. I mean, it is useful. I don't really need to think that. I know that because it puts a little bit of some of the discussion and debates to rest. I think it was pretty valuable. Shows some interesting first round pop data, stuff like that. It's actually something similar to the thing I did in Research Supplement 665 for members back in February. Because I took 2 silencers in the Mark 18 and I went ham with the data. It's the same thing I did back in February with the OSS versus the Surefire. I want to show you the ins and outs of the comparisons. Very detailed characteristics of the loudness and the inner ear response. Really, I want to give PEW Science members a window into the hearing response so you can have the most quantifiable picture of the silencer comparison on the host weapon possible. Okay, and for those of you who are not members, you need to realize, look, the suppression rating is the best you're going to get. And going behind the curtain in some of these research supplements shows you some of the information that gets you there. Okay? This is technical information that you're literally never going to see anywhere else. And that's why I'm giving it to you. Because I think you need it. Now, another reason I do these research supplements every now and again is I want to show you that there is, in fact, a difference in how silencers sound, behave, and how there's a difference in how it influences your inner ear. There is. And I want to show you that it's real. And this is the most I can really do without strapping electrodes to your head and putting you in a lab setting and subjecting you to impulsive noise and then examining you afterward. Okay, this is literally never going to happen. Okay, so here we are. That's right. So this is the best we have for now, and it's probably the best we have for the foreseeable future until someone does something better. You know what I mean? And it's such a leap above what anyone was doing before. It's a quantum leap. I hate using the word quantum, but it's a quantum leap. Remember that show? Probably not. Now, one of the main takeaways that I want folks to understand is the difference between the bystander suppression rating and the at-ear or shooter suppression rating. Okay, I see some folks on social media just focusing on one or the other. You guys, you need to look at both because you may be in situations where one matters more than the other one. You feel me? I mean, you don't have to care, but I want you to know the information's there if you need it. You understand? I mean, that's the important part. I don't care what you read or what you buy. But if you need the information, I want you to know where you can find it. Okay? All right, so I got some good feedback from members on this one. I hope you found it useful. And I'm obviously not going to go into the technical details on the podcast because it's a public podcast, and frankly, it's not a public article. Okay. Let's move into topic 2 at a time of 18 minutes and 5 seconds. Okay. Listener questions. That's right. Let's dive back into the 4th solicitation. I love answering these. I think you guys get a kick out of it. I do. I think it's great to help folks by spreading the knowledge, and we're back. And I do think we should dive in again. I mean, we had a solid start a few weeks ago, right? And then since last week was kind of a rare off week, I don't want these to pile up, I think it's best we dive back into them now. Let's go to the spreadsheet. That's right. Let me open this up. Let me get a drink of water 1 second. Okay. I'll get the spreadsheet here. And what I don't want to do is close the recording application. So let me go ahead and resize this window here. Okay, make this size. That's reasonable. Okay, all right. So where did we leave off last time? It's been a minute. That's right. I highlighted the row, didn't I? Okay. Last time on listener questions, we left off on global question 202. That's crazy. Local question number 5 from the 4th solicitation. We said that there was a question to Sir Man. You asked, have you seen the bootleg adjustable bolt carry group? Thoughts? They say it increases dwell time, yada, yada. That's right. And we basically went on to say that, yeah, I've seen it. We talked about it. We talked about dwell time and what it means to them. And what it means to the rest of the AR world, and why you can't really use that term necessarily interchangeably, but as long as you define what dwell time is, it can be a useful term. And then we talked about how that system was basically a Band-Aid and not necessarily the best, yet, et cetera, et cetera. And if you would like to know more, go ahead and do the Google search on pewscience.com, and you can find where the listener questions metadata was last tagged. Probably on this episode, now that you're listening to it, it'll be posted by the time you listen to it. This is Future Jay. Future Jay is going to post this. So what you'll see is probably this episode will be tagged with listener questions in the metadata of the website. So if you go to pewscience.com/podcast and you click on the listener questions metadata tag, it will then probably list all the podcast episodes with listener questions. And so just go back to the previous one. That's one way to do that besides Google search on the website. Yeah, I try to make it easy to find stuff. Oftentimes with podcasts and the podcasts that publish a lot of information, I don't think they offer you a way to search. And this was the best way I thought to be able to do that. So that's why I list all the topics for every episode on the website with timestamps, and there's a search function. So gosh, if you can't find something, well, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, let's go to the next question. Question 203, subquestion 6 of the fourth solicitation. At the time of this question, how many silencers do you have pending review? That was part one of their question. Then part two of their question is, not reviewed, meaning not even tested yet? Okay, so it's a two-part question. Excellent question, sir, ma'am. Answer to part one, that's confidential. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you. I don't really discuss that. And then to part two, you're asking how many silencers have you not reviewed, meaning how many have you not tested? Well, the answer to that, I can tell you, a lot, because considering that there are so many silencers in existence, and also there's so many silencer hosts when you think about it. So it's interesting. Although there probably exists a finite amount of permutations, the number of permutations is non-trivial. Yeah. So I do understand your desire for this information. Your question is not lost on me, but it's not public information. And due to the nature of the silencer industry, guys, I'm not able to divulge this information. It gets really weird with people asking for stuff, and I don't give ETAs. There's more and more people asking for ETAs. They're not going to get one. I'm not going to give you one. So I don't say that aggressively, or I don't mean to be rude, but I'm not going to give you one. So please, don't waste your time. It'll just waste your time and my time. There's no need to ask for the ETA. Okay. Now, I hope it's not too cryptic, and thank you for the question. I will say I have a lot of data that you have not seen. Okay. And some you will see, and some you may never see. And this is just the nature. If this was a normal thing and the silencer industry was just always on the up and up, and everything was copacetic, and everyone got along, and everything was professional, and, then this would be easier to speak with you about. But that's not the reality. Okay, so I'm doing it the best way I know how, based upon my experience and my observations over the past few decades of how the silencer industry works. Okay, that's why I've chosen to do it the way I'm doing it, and I do believe it is the only way to do it and make it last and protect the effort and the consumers like yourself who make it possible. Okay, it's in your best interest to have it done the way it is being done. Okay, so don't worry, more is coming for you very soon. Stay tuned. Hope that answers your question. It was a very good question. Question 204, subquestion 7. Howdy, Jay. Howdy, listener. How does gas tube length impact silencer selection for an 11.5-inch barrel AR? Carbine / mid. Yeah, great question. Let me get a drink of water 1 second. That's a good question. I think we talked about this before, but it probably bears repeating. And, sometimes you folks, it's okay if you ask questions that have already been asked. And sometimes they're asked in ways that are different, and it might help people understand more. It's okay. I think this is good. We can speak about this again. So, the length of a gas system, it doesn't necessarily impact silencer selection, but it does, or it can influence the sensitivity of the system, and it can influence the sensitivity of your rifle to various silencer types. Okay? So for example, if you have a silencer that has relatively high back pressure or relatively high flow restriction on your host firearm, you need to understand that it's going to impact your rifle's dwell time in a more significant way than a silencer with relatively low back pressure or relatively low flow restriction. Okay, and remember, I talked about dwell time briefly a second ago, but dwell time in this context is the time it takes for your bullet to pass the gas port and then exit the muzzle. Okay? It's the time at which your gas port is under the greatest pressure load from the combustion gases pushing the bullet. Okay, that's a pretty simple way to talk about it. When you add a silencer, it makes the blowdown time increase due to flow restriction. Okay, so you're restricting the amount of gas that can get out. So what's that doing? Well, it's increasing what we call the blowdown time. You can think of the barrel as blowing down. The gas pressure is blowing down. If you graphed it, it would be a blowdown graph. I know that's strange to say, to have you visualize, but you need to use that. You need to think about that term. I say the word blowdown a lot. I mean, the pressure is literally blowing down. You add a silencer, it increases that time of blowdown because the gas can't get out as easily, can it? Why can't it? There's a flow restriction, right? So what does that do to your rifle? Well, to the rifle, what the rifle sees is the same thing you would see as if it was taking the bullet a longer time to get out of the muzzle, because there's still gas coming through the gas port at a higher pressure. So it's like, this is weird. It leaves, basically the gas, it's leaving the muzzle at the same, or the bullet's leaving the muzzle at the same time, but the gas is taking a longer time to leave. So the net effect can be the same, meaning your dwell time is artificially increasing. Okay, you're artificially increasing dwell time with a silencer. So back to your question, if you start with a longer gas system length, that is, the gas port is further away from your chamber and closer to your barrel muzzle, then the net increase in dwell time from adding a silencer will be less, right? Like the percentage increase is going to be less. And what do we call that? Well, we call that type of gun less gas sensitive, right, than a comparable gun with a shorter gas system. Does it make sense? So if you're going to suppress an AR, it's probably better to start with the longest gas system length you can fit on the barrel. Like, this is just a simple rule of thumb. It's not hard and fast, but it's a reasonable assumption. It is. So it's given what I've said, right? Keeping all other things equal, it's a reasonable assumption. Now, if you have a very high flow rate silencer, though, it may not matter, right? So, for example, if you use an OSS silencer, your gas system length when suppressed will only matter to the extent it matters when the gun is unsuppressed. Why? Well, it's because the silencer has such a low back pressure that the artificial dwell time increase is inconsequential to the operation of the weapon. Okay, it's as if in other words, that's a long way of saying it's as if the silencer isn't there. The back pressure of that OSS silencer, for example, is so low that it's as if the silencer is not there to the gun. So you're not artificially increasing your dwell time, are you? So then why would we be talking about this in the context of a suppressed weapon? Well, we wouldn't. You would talk about the gas dynamics more in the case of an unsuppressed gun, because the silencer isn't affecting the gun as much. You know what I mean? So it's really a spectrum. It's not a hard and fast rule. It's a spectrum because there's different omega metrics. There's different, you can see that on pewscience.com, Research Supplement 640. There's different flow restrictions of silencers. There's different back pressure of silencers. Okay. The OSS silencer, it's extremely uncommon. Okay. It's extremely uncommon to have a silencer like that. So chances are your silencer will influence dwell time. But it does depend. Okay, so back your question, sir, was how does gas tube length impact silencer selection? Well, if I wanted to answer your question as a purist and literally and directly, I would say the longer your gas tube, the higher flow restriction or higher back pressure silencer you could probably deal with. The shorter the gas tube or the shorter the gas system, the more flow rate you probably want, all other things equal. But saying that sentence just now is dangerous without everything else I just said. And so now you understand why I gave you the long answer first. Because I'm always scared someone will misuse information if they don't understand. That's right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's a good question. So thank you for asking that. Question 205. Subquestion 8 of the fourth solicitation. What is your favorite part about PEW Science? Is it the consumer or pushing tech? Man, that's a really good question. Let me get a drink of water 1 second. I am thirsty. Okay. I learned that early on in these podcasts to go ahead and have a big old glass of water in front of me. Because boy, I run out of gas, I run out of mouth lubricant. Don't isolate that audio. No. What's my favorite part about PEW Science? Is it the consumer or pushing tech? I definitely the consumer. Definitely. It's consumer by a mile, I think. I personally get a lot of joy out of helping people. That's just my personality, I think. That's what I like. And it's actually something I think that a lot of people don't have. And, look, nothing against people that don't have that same drive as me. But I think because a lot of people don't have that same drive as me, they can't sympathize or empathize or identify with what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So they get really upset. And they accuse me of doing something bad because they really don't believe me when I say I want to help people. Isn't that crazy? And I didn't really realize that until I was talking with some folks about the effort, and the majority of the feedback I get is extremely positive, but sometimes every once in a blue moon there's this really weird people that say really weird stuff. And I was talking about that with some folks, and they let me know. They're like, dude, it's because they don't know you and they don't understand that you're literally trying to help them. And I thought about that for a while. I was like, you're probably right. They literally are judging the PEW Science effort based on their preconceived notions instead of, the objective reality that is, this is literally to help everybody. And that's really crazy. But it helped me, people help me put things in perspective sometimes. So it was good to get those thoughts. Now, I will say, and I think I've made it clear. This has been years now doing it. I think it's pretty clear that helping people is the primary driver of why I founded the company. And it's the primary driver of why I keep doing it. My life is pretty busy, to say the least. And my main career is very demanding. Okay? If this was not helping people, I would not do it. Full stop. Now, that's not to say I don't enjoy pushing the tech. The second part of your question, sir, man. It's not to say I don't enjoy pushing the tech, pushing the technology. Seeing what things are capable of, helping manufacturers understand the products. So basically, so we can advance. But you got to realize that all goes back to the first goal. Helping people. It's all connected. It's literally all the same thing. Because at the end of the day, that's the common goal here that I have. Make things better by giving everyone the tools to understand how to make them better. Okay, we're bootstrapping the silencer industry. Okay, if you give people the tools to succeed, you will be surprised what they can accomplish. You really have to give people more credit. A lot of people they call consumers stupid. I say this all the time. it's very dismissive and dangerous to think that. I think a lot of folks are way smarter than you think, and you really need to give them a chance. Okay, and the silencer industry is definitely hungry for innovation. It is, and I think PEW Science is giving folks the tools to understand what that looks like. And I think we've seen that so far. And I hope that answers your question. Okay, that's a good question. My favorite, but by far, and it's funny. You asked me what's my favorite part of PEW Science, and I think some people might think, oh, it's because you get to shoot silencers all the time, dude. Shooting silencers is not even on the radar as one of my favorite parts of PEW Science. It's not even in the top 10 things. So, and I really want you to hear me when I say that, because if you are surprised by that statement, you got to listen to more of the podcast or something. Like I'm not driven by profit and power and material things. Like that's just not what I'm driven by. And I think it's funny, the public discourse that you've seen before between me and some other very vocal people in the industry. You'll see that they made mistakes. Yeah, they made mistakes when they assumed what drives me. It's dangerous. It's dangerous to make mistakes like that, because you make yourself look a little funny. People offering me large sums of money to do things when I'm not motivated by that. It's not what motivates me at all. You see. So it's interesting. I find it very interesting. So thanks for this question. I think that's a good chance for me to speak about that. Okay. Question 206, sub-question 9. Does projectile design, hollow point or open tip or jacketed hollow point, etc., affect suppression? Man, I could have sworn we actually spoke about this one time. Huh. You know what? If you bear with me for one moment, I can search this spreadsheet. We can do that. Control F, right? If we Control F and go to Options in Excel, and instead of going to Sheet, if we search within Workbook, and I search for hollow point, because I know that's a term that is not often used. Find all. That was a mistake. I'm going to search for a JHP, jacketed hollow point, instead. Hold up. Find all. Okay, that's right. Boom. It was also in round 3, question 155, sub-question 27 of the third solicitation. No. Question 158, sub-question 30 of the third solicitation. Someone asked, does bullet shape, spear point, flat nose, jacketed hollow point, JHP, etc., make a significant contribution to sound signature? And I think, God, how did I answer it last time? I think I talked about subsonic flight and supersonic flight, and I thought about pressure wave propagation, and I probably talked about drag. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I'll probably go back to that and say, I think the answer is probably, in so much as the drag is influenced for pressure wave formation. I don't think you're going to have a significant influence in the supersonic regime due to shock propagation, probably. But and that's not. Okay. Let me rephrase. Let me get back up. Let me rephrase it. When it says affect suppression, I think what you're probably asking is the same thing as the lady or gentleman in a while back in that previous question asked with regard to signature production, and it's probably, I would go so far as to say you're probably more concerned with perception. And so what I would say, I would probably go on and say that supersonic is going to make it not as pronounced due to some other things going on, and maybe at like lower velocities in really quiet systems when you're probably moving a lot of air in a more overall quieter system, maybe it affects it more. Like, for example, like big bore stuff, subsonically, like a subsonic big bore, maybe a 45, maybe. I bet, I bet you it's measurable. I don't know that there's a significant practical difference. It would be cool to test it, and you would need identical loads, right? Like, for example, here's an example. I could test discrete ballistics hunting ammo for 300 blackout and see if it had a different signature to the target stuff that mimics the external ballistics of the round. Now, that's 300 blackout, so that's different than big bore, but this is one example because it has the same ballistics, and we know that. We could do that. I don't know. It would be interesting, but I don't think there's much of a practical difference in signature, but it would be good to test. And so to answer your question, probably not a lot. Okay, that's probably what I said last time, more or less. Watch, you can go replay that other episode, like I say something completely different. That'd be wild. Question 207, sub-question 10. How do you think the Helios would perform if the bore was 5.56 instead of 30 cal? Are you asking about the Helios QD or the Helios DT? I think you're probably speaking about the QD. Probably because I haven't released any other 5.56 data for the CGS except for the Helios QD. Now, it's important to clarify, though, because those are different silencers, the QD and the DT, Yeah. So I think that if you shrunk the bore of a Helios QD to be super small, you would ramp up the back pressure, and I don't think you want to do that necessarily. And I think if you're going 5.56, I think you want to change something else about the QD. Maybe, and it's probably not the bore. I'm not sure. I think probably you could make the bore a little smaller if you wanted to, but I would be more concerned with the annular utilization from early expansion and jetting. That's what I would be looking at. So I would probably redesign the mount interface or maybe even take up some expansion chamber volume. Possibly. But hey, what do I know, right? No. I think it's doable to change the performance of that silencer without changing the silencer. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Actually, I have a mount that CGS made me from an idea I had. It's a prototype. I should test it, but it's not right now. I have some things I need to test with that, some other stuff. So I'll test it relatively soon. Don't worry, we'll figure it out. I will help you understand that because I want to understand it myself. That's right. Good question. Question 208, sub-question 11. Do you think a Hyperion would allow an AK to cycle? Man, what's up with these CGS questions? Do I think a Hyperion would allow an AK to cycle? Yeah, probably. I also think that it might beat up your gun, depending on how it's configured, your gun, that is. The Hyperion is interesting in that if you have a short duration, small cartridge, it's not going to restrict as much flow as the longer duration stuff. And, that's actually the case with a lot of silencers. If you use subsonic 300 blackout, for example, it might not have super high back pressure. But if you use a silencer on like supersonic 300 blackout or like 7.62 by 39 like your AK, you might have some different behavior. And so if you're wanting to use a full-size Hyperion on an AK, I would reach out to CGS and see if they tested it. It depends on the gun. I have not personally. I'm just not. Look, to be honest with you, I've shot AKs full auto and in test scenarios, but I'm just not an AK guy. And they're cool. I have too many other irons in the fire, so I just don't have any good AK information for you. I know that you can certainly break your AK with a high back pressure silencer, and I do not think the Hyperion is the best choice for an AK. A full size Hyperion, that is. I think that's a little bit. I don't think any full size silencer is like a good choice for an AK. I think you're going to have problems with your gun. I think that maybe if you put the vented end cap onto the Hyperion, which you can do, you might be surprised in how good it does. Have I not released data on that? I haven't released vented Hyperion end cap data, have I? I've tested it. Oh, you know what? I think I've done that on the Mark 18. I probably need to release that. That's going to blow your mind. Yeah, that'd be cool. Anyway, good question. Sorry, it probably didn't help you very much. I hope I helped you at least a little bit. But just contact the manufacturer. That'd be a good idea. Question 209, Sub-question 12. Favorite peanut butter? I'm really hungry right now. I went and I'm recording this like right after work, and it's kind of mid to late after. It's not mid. It's late afternoon, and I worked out yesterday. I'm not working out today, and I'm so hungry. And you talking about peanut butter, sir, ma'am? I mean, frankly, it's welcome because I love food, but also it's kind of making me salivate. It depends. I like creamy and crunchy. I don't know what you expected me to say. I'll do pretty much any peanut butter, but you know what I don't like? I'll say this. What I don't like is some of that ultra natural peanut butter stuff that the stuff that like separates and you have to stir it, like gets liquid and like solid. That's just so high maintenance. Come on, miss me with that, dude. Like, I'm like, bro, why do you need to do that with peanut butter? If I'm gonna eat peanut butter, it's because I'm in a hurry or I need the calories or I want to enjoy myself. I don't need your weird, super healthy peanut butter that needs stirring, guys. Like, relax. It's high maintenance and weird. Like, come on. It's like, oh, I'm gonna have this wonderful free range, organic Oreo. It's like, bro, you're eating an Oreo. Relax. You came for the calories. You stayed for the fat. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Miss me with that. Anyway, good question, I guess. Man, I'm hungry. Okay. Peanut butter. I'm trying to think. What's a good peanut butter thing I've had recently? What has peanut butter that's good? Like Reese's peanut butter cups are good. What else that has peanut butter is good? I don't know. Nothing. Like I like peanut butter, but I'm not a huge peanut butter fiend. Like, I like nuts. Like, peanuts are good. You go to the steak restaurant there. You go like Texas Roadhouse. They have peanuts everywhere. Oh, you know who else has peanuts? Five Guys. Get a Five Guys. Get a great burger there. You got the peanuts you can get and eat. Those are good. Anyway. Question 210. Sub-question 13. Get another 5.56 RC2 or branch out. Only running 5.56 guns. Boy, have you come to the right place. Bro, just get another RC2. I just did. Didn't I just say that earlier in the episode? I told you guys, I literally just bought another RC2. If you enjoy the 5.56 RC2, you have, like, if you enjoy that you have, and you are only running 5.56 guns, I really don't see a reason to buy anything else. Like, if you already know you like it, like, why get another thing? Like, unless, like, if you have the mounts, like, I don't know. Like, this is weird. Like, I don't really want to tell you what to buy, but you're asking me, like, if you should buy another. I'm like, well, you already have an RC2. You don't need it if you're only running 5.56 guns, and you so that's what you said. Like, you don't need the versatility of a large bore. I don't know. Maybe if you're running full auto and you want to avoid gassing yourself, maybe you go with like a larger bore silencer than the RC2. Or maybe if you're running guns that you don't want to adjust like at all, then maybe like find a silencer with like a lower flow restriction, with a lower back pressure, like an OSS or something. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, other than the RC2, like, this is just me, like, just for me personally, like, other than the RC2, OSS is kind of what I will personally use for a lot of dedicated 5.56 stuff. Now, I do have some unreleased stuff that I like to use too, but it's stupid to talk about that because you can't buy it, so there's no reason for me to talk about it. Like, it's like I don't get paid for marketing, so that's dumb. Two, I think it's cruel. It's almost cruel for me to mention it because you can't have it. So it's like, why would I even tell you about it? It's like stupid, right? So that's just frustrating. Okay, I think that's good. That's good for now for listener questions. I'm gonna highlight that really before it goes off the rails. I'm gonna highlight that row. That's a good spot. How are we doing on time? About 50 minutes. Perfect. That's a perfect length of time. Okay, I'm gonna save that spreadsheet. Boom. Highlight that row. Yeah, we're cooking. Hitting about that. We hit a little bit more questions than we did last time. So okay, I like that. Okay, let's go ahead and close that spreadsheet. We'll conclude that topic. Okay, great. All right, let's move. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I did. Topic 3, at a time of 49 minutes, and 41 seconds. Okay, I'm going to drink of water. Okay, topic 3. Yeah, new sound signature review coming this week. Coming this week? Yes, friends. 556. I think we're due for it. Yeah, thanks for your patience while I not only took a break from PEW Science last week, but I also took a short break from 556 data. And actually, let me go to the website right now. When was I? Let's see, back, because I was just on that review. When was the last time I gave you 556 data? Oh, it was in February. It's about a month. It was about a month ago. Yeah, the Helios QD. Yeah, because then we did a bunch of diligence defense. We did Sansa Central. We did the Hyperion on a 3-year blackout. Oh, that's right. It was the full size Hyperion. I forgot. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, we did a lot since then. Yeah, so it's been a minute. It's been a minute for 556 data. So, it's funny. Every time I think that there are other things we need to show, and there are other things that we really need to show due to contracts, meaning that kind of don't have a choice. And then I'm amazed at the demand for silencer data with 556. Like even with this Mark 18 platform that we're exploring right now, I never would have thought. I mean, people are rabid for this stuff. I'm like, are you serious right now? Give the people what they want, I guess. Holy crap. I keep thinking folks won't want the Mark 18, but people really do love really short barrel 5.56. And I think we may get to the point where people understand why the Mark 18 is such a crazy silencer host. But I think it's dangerous to think that too, because every time I tell one person that short barrel 5.56 is incredibly difficult to suppress, 10 more people show up and ask me which silencer they should use on their Mark 18. It's incredible. I'm like, what is going on? It's like, I didn't even, before I did this, I didn't even know what a Mark 18 was. I'm like, what is a Mark 18? What? I'm not a cloner person. I'm not a military cloner guy. I'm like, Mark 18, that doesn't sound like a good idea. Now, early on, when we were dedicating, a host, when we were we're going to really pick something. We're going to decide which 5.56 host to use. One of the driving factors, I think, for the decision process was overall length of the silencer. That wasn't really a technical decision point, but it ends up being one, but it wasn't a technical driver. It was necessarily, it for performance. It was because of public silencer use. A lot of folks don't like, especially with the brace culture now, because everyone just basically sidestepped the stock rules and put a brace on there, and that's really what changed a lot of this. A lot of people, they don't like to use silencers on the 20-inch guns because they're so long. For hunting, people put silencers on 20-inch bolt actions all day long, and that's a whole different market. But for the AR, a lot of the trend has been close quarter use, and especially with braces. Everyone has a brace, so you got these SBRs. Well, see how it's funny to use that term brace in stock and SBR, because SBR is a legal classification. What you have these short barrel rifle cartridge from short barrels, and what could be a more popular short barrel rifle with 5.56 than the Mark 18? Isn't that weird? And so you got to remember, and I've said this so many times, the Mark 18 was not designed with a lot of thought, dude. It's literally an AR with the barrel cut down as short as possible before the gas block. There's nothing more to it, and it's not a lot of thought went into it. So you need to understand the configuration we're testing. It's standardized and not specifically tuned for silencer use. You feel me? Well, other than the fact the gas port's a known size and the buffer mass is a known weight of H2. Other than that, it's just like any other AR, and there are no other specific modifications for silencer use for the Mark 18. So, for example, you could, if one were so inclined, you could, and think about this, if one were so inclined, you could use an H3 buffer in the Mark 18, couldn't you? Yeah. You could also, if one were so inclined, use a smaller gas port on the Mark 18 than the 070. Or you could maybe use an adjustable gas block to shrink the gas port. Yeah, you could. Depending on the silencer, this will change the sound signature. The suppression rating will change. Okay? Now, how much will it change? Now, how much will it change on the Mark 18 with its 10.3-inch barrel? I don't know how much. So, what if we had a different 5.56 test host? Yeah, I think I want to put that bug in your ear sooner than later. Okay, and I mean it when I say it. Please listen. I do think we should continue with the Mark 18 for now. I think we are where we are. We're getting some good information, but it might be that we don't flush out the whole suite of performance like we have started to do with the 20-inch bolt action 308. You know what I mean? So, like you understand what I'm saying? Like perhaps it's time to mix and match. So, for example, perhaps it's time to test some concurrent 5.56 hosts, and that's kind of an idea I wanted to speak with you about. For that, and I've been thinking about it. This might be a radical idea, or maybe not. But it might be time to kill some more birds. Might be time to kill multiple birds with one stone. Okay, so I have a list here, a piece of paper here. I made a list of some of the birds that I would like to kill with the next 5.56 host. Okay, just me thinking. So the first bird I want to kill is a non-SBR. Okay, and what do I mean? I mean legally. A non-SBR, meaning it accessible for everyone. 16-inch barrel. A 16-inch. Okay, and when I say a 16-inch barrel, I mean to kill this bird, a 16-inch barrel could do that. Yeah. Okay. Second bird to kill. Well, I want to get the muzzle of the silencer further away from the shooter's ear because I want to understand the sound field a little more. How could we kill that bird? Well, we could also use a 16-inch barrel, couldn't we? Yeah. Then I was thinking I was going to the next bird I wanted to kill. I said, well, what about a conservative case for muzzle pressure? Well, how long can we go? Remembering that it, really the cartridge is designed for a 20-inch barrel. Well, how long can we go? Well, we go to 16-inch from 20. We're reducing by 4 inches. It's giving a little conservative answer still. It's still giving high enough pressure to exercise the system. I think 16-inch could kill that bird because it's still greater pressure than 20-inch. So I was thinking that, and then I was thinking, well, but what about tuning? Like I was talking about with the Mark 18, what about tuning? What if maybe you adjust the gas block for each test such that the rifle is perfectly gassed for the silencer? How could we kill that bird? Well, you could do it with a 16-inch AR with an adjustable gas block. You don't have the 16-inch AR can still do that. So I was thinking. So I just made a list of like 4 things that I would want to get that we weren't getting for the Mark 18. You see, because it's a 5.56 cartridge, but I don't want to change from the AR because the AR is so important. So I was thinking, what could we do differently than the Mark 18? And knowing what we know from the Mark 18, from the lessons we learned from the Mark 18, what could we move to, and how could we accommodate all these things, and how much bang for our buck could we get? So these are the 4 birds we could kill with one test host, right? You get data for a rifle system anyone could own. The silencers get further away from the shooter's head. The combustion is more typical for 5.56 because you're not doing it out of a 10-inch barrel, which is half the length it should be, but you're still not going to 20. And then also, you can see what tuning does to an AR when you tune with a adjustable gas block. You see, and that's killing a lot of birds, guys. It's killing a lot of birds. So I was thinking, that. I was like, that's a pretty good idea. But I want to talk to you about it before I decided. I am going to make the decision myself, but I do want to at least pitch it, at least give you an idea, just to bring it up. And I wanted to say it in this way so you hear my thoughts in a complete way so you can consider all the points that I gave. Okay? Now, I know because everyone has their favorite AR they want, right? But you need to think bigger than yourself, don't you? This is bigger than you. Okay? This is bigger than you. So try to think bigger. Okay? And don't pigeonhole it to only your experience in the gun store you used to work at, or or your shooting buddies, or you need to think bigger. Okay? I guarantee you no one is going to agree with the 4 birds I want to kill. So there's going to be a lot of discussion about this, but I did want to bring it up, and that's fine. I think the discussion's great, and I look forward to hearing your opinions. I just ask that you be open to free thought here. And really, what I think we could do, or what we should zone in on, you basically want the answer is how quiet you can make your AR, don't you? You want that answer, don't you? Everyone wants that answer. How quiet can you make the AR? Yeah, more or less. And you look at this and you say, well, could a 20-inch AR be quieter? Well, yeah. But not how many people are using a 20-inch AR, okay? And then you ask yourself, well, would a 14-inch gun or a 12-inch gun be louder than a 16-inch? Well, yes. But you have Mark 18 data. You see. You understand? Maybe there's some interpolation that can occur. Yeah, I mean, there's a hole, though. I concede. Yeah, there's a hole in that you don't know what a 12-inch tuned would do, for example. You know what I mean? Like if we did this. You would be like, well, what if I take an intermediate barrel and then tune it, Jay? What's the, I get it. Like how does a tuned 12-inch compared with a untuned Mark 18 10.3-inch? Yeah, there's that. I mean, there is that unknown. But I was thinking, if the 16-inch tuned results don't make you happy, like let's say you see results on 16-inch tuned, okay? And you're not happy with those. Do you think that a 12-inch tuned is going to be better? Well, no, dude, it's not. So if you can't get the answer you want with a 16-inch tuned, maybe there's your answer. And I'm willing to hedge my bets that more people will be upset than pleased. That's a bet. And I don't know what I'm wagering, but I think it's reasonable to think that. So you see my logic when you really drill down to say, well, I want a 12, or what about 11 and a half? And everyone knows that 11 and a half, and block 2, and blah, blah, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, guys, I did the Mark 18 with a lot of consumer feedback, but just know that I didn't just roll the dice and do it. I did it knowing that it was a standardized host and we were going to get good data. We were going to get data you didn't like, but I knew it was going to be good data. And boy, are we in the midst of it. And every time I release another one, I look at the feedback, and slowly but surely people are getting pissed. And that's great, because you should have been pissed from the beginning. Okay? But nonetheless, it's good. So I think probably the next step is going to be 16-inch. I don't know for sure. I'm thinking that. I'm leaning toward it. And remember, we can do it concurrently with the Mark 18 as well, right? We don't have to get rid of the Mark 18. I'm just saying we can add a 16-inch to the fray and see what happens. That actually might be a good idea. But if we do that, I don't want to just add a host and start randomly testing it and only do it a couple times. Let's actually do more. Let's pick something that if we like it, we want to continue it. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Okay, cool. Because I don't want to lose the momentum. Okay? I think it would be a good thing to mix it in. And frankly, it'll give a tremendous amount of data, regardless. Yeah, I think it'll be great. How many people want to know what a Surefire SOCOM 556 RC2 does on a tuned 16-inch? That's one of the most desirable sentences I think you've ever heard in your life, if you're into silencers, right? I know I want to know, because I don't know. You know, I don't know. I've literally never shot that. So how would I know? Okay. How good could it get? That's what I want to know. I want to know if I tune a 16-inch AR with a SOCOM 556 RC2, what happens? And you know what? Does it make other silencers eclipse the Surefire performance? How crazy would that be? And then we'd be like, oh my God, there's different silencers for long barrel AR versus short barrel. What? And the internet would collapse on itself like a black hole of silencer knowledge. That's right. No, let me know your thoughts. tech@pewscience.com. You can email me tech@pewscience.com. We'll talk about it, okay? Yeah. So all that being said, we're not making this move just yet. I want you to calm your tits, okay? Just cool your jets. We're not making the move just yet. I think the data this week is going to be interesting for you, and I promise I am going to give you some data this week. I think it's going to be interesting, and I think the data that I give you this week, I think is going to answer some questions and put some things to bed, at least a little bit. And I also think it might make you really think about the host. Possibly. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Stay tuned, okay? Yeah. Let's move into topic 4. Time of 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 8 seconds. Man, I tell you what, we are making great time. Thank you. All the new PEW Science members, thank you. I can't express to you how awesome it is. You guys recently joined. I'm talking to all of you, but man, the folks that recently joined, there were a bunch of you, and I think all of us, and I speak for all of us when I say we owe you thanks for your contribution to this effort. The Silencer Sound Standard is grassroots, and you guys are making it possible, and the industry owes you one. And I have a bunch of emails to write tonight, I tell you, and tomorrow to welcome you. I am so behind, and so when I say I took some time off from PEW Science, I took some time off. I answered some emails this weekend, here and there, but other than that, I was like pretty gone. I needed it. Went to a hockey game and everything. Had a good Easter. It was awesome. But yeah, all you folks that support PEW Science is awesome. I do reach out to every one of you when you join. And if you haven't received an email, it's because a lot of you haven't, okay? That's that time I took off. Now, all of you, regardless, you're all responsible for pushing the industry forward one test at a time. Nothing is done in a vacuum or alone. And I hope the previous discussion, the previous podcast topic here about the test host, I hope you know that I am listening to you and watching and hearing your concerns and your desires for data. Now, this is all community funded, and it's community driven and consumer focused. Now, there is military, government, and commercial participation. There just is. It's the nature of it. If you're an enthusiast of silencers and weapons, if you think in your mind that somehow the military or the government is not going to be involved in the industry in which you receive joy, like if you think that weapons are going to be developed with no military component, you are living in fantasy land, guys. Okay? The military drives more than you may realize. So that's going to happen. And the military and the government is going to be involved with PEW Science. But I can tell you right now that PEW Science is predominantly community funded and consumer focused, and will always be consumer focused, as long as I have control. Okay, and I think I always will have control, so we're good there, I think. Unless there's a hostile takeover. Helps, SOS. No, I hope you found the information in this episode informative. I do. I'm glad to be back, and I enjoy doing the podcast. I'm glad to see folks enjoying it. You guys are enthusiastic about it. So please, stay tuned for some interesting data this week. I think you'll like it, and at the very least, I think it will answer some interesting questions definitively. Yeah, and it will put some arguments to bed, too. I always love doing that. I think it'd be good, probably. what's the worst that can happen? So today, stay safe is what I was trying to say. I really do mean it when I say it. It's not just a. I do hope you practice good self-defense practice. Train with your weapons so you can use them effectively. I think we could all do better at that. And you stay safe with you and your family and your friends. And I will talk with you folks again soon. All right, bye.